Okay, it's finally time for the NFL draft. We've all been waiting for it. Um, I every year the draft hype period, mock draft season, all of it. I hate it more every year. This year's I think been worse because the Vikings are you know potentially going to take a quarterback. There's a possibility that's going to happen. So it's been even more insufferable with all the speculation and stuff. I don't even know where to fucking begin on this. So we got 5 picks. We only have 5 picks in the draft as of now. That will change, of course. Um, um, but you know, I'm going to be very interested to see what happens if Kwesi does trade again out of the first round, or even just down in the first round, which is a very strong possibility. Like I'll be watching the draft, day one, day night of, of the draft tomorrow, waiting for the Vikings pick, knowing full well that there's a strong possibility that they don't pick. That maybe they trade back to accumulate more picks. You know, I tune out this shit as much as I can. The draft speculation, the mocks. It's almost impossible to completely to do it. But I don't have any fucking clue who the Vikings might take. I don't. I frankly don't care. I just want to. I'll care about the player when they are drafted by the Vikings. That's that's always the thing. I don't care. I don't want to learn about you know 100 players who are never going to play for my team. I don't care about these players. I care about the ones who the Vikings draft. Um, and you know, so I don't think anyone would be watching this for insight anyway, but I have no insight. Um, you know, obviously, like the big talker has been, are they going to take a quarterback? And everyone knows the names of the 4 or 5 guys who are out there, other than like the maybe the couple who are going to go at the way top of the draft, and we aren't going to get them. Although there's, I don't know, there's some not, another problem with this point of the NFL calendar is you get just the anonymous reports. It's like the report like a few days ago that the Vikings are talking to Houston and Arizona about moving up into the top five. How the fuck are they going to move into the top five? They what with what draft capital? They have no draft capital this year. They only have 5 picks. They're not going to give up. I would, even if they were to give up next year's first, it's going to take a lot more than that to move up 20 spots. Um, and I would hope if they do that, oh boy, I'm going to be really mad because I don't want. Frankly, I don't fucking care about any of these quarterbacks. Maybe they'll all be good. Maybe they'll all be busts. I don't know. I don't have any interest in drafting a quarterback right now. I don't. I'm sorry. We got one. We got a damn good quarterback who's going to be on our books beyond 2023, no matter what, unless there's some other, you know, restructuring shenanigans that go on. Like this team would have gone deep into the playoffs if they had a defense. That's what needs to be the focus. I'm sorry. That needs to be the focus. It needs to be defense. Focus on the defense. Um, Particularly in the secondary. Like you know, I think I would be delighted if they took a cornerback with the first pick, assuming that they stay with the pick that they've got. I would be delighted if they took a cornerback to throw into that cornerback mix, which is pretty thin still at the moment. Um, but you know, either that or maybe a pass rusher, interior D lineman. Those are the positions I want. I don't care. Like, there's also a lot of talk about them maybe drafting a receiver. I mean, it's hard to say no to that when Randy Moss happened. Like, the Vikings going into the '98 draft did not need a receiver, but here's Randy Moss falling to them at whatever pick that was. Obviously, that was the right pick. Um, you know, so I won't be too mad if they take a receiver, but like I want defense, 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 defense. This defense needs to be built up because guess what? We can fucking kick ass next year with an improved defense because I don't think the offense is going to slip that much. maybe not at all. Um, and I think a lot of it is just it's the Kirk thing. The Kirk hatred is just, it's making people crazy about wanting to get a quarterback. And, like, we have to get a quarterback. No, we don't have to get a quarterback this year. You can get a quarterback next year. Like, you know what? If they're good, you can throw them right in as a rookie anyway. Um, this whole thing about, well, get someone who sits for a year behind Kirk. That almost never happens anymore. Where you draft a guy and they sit because either you're either drafting to replace a quarterback who isn't that good, or there's an injury or something. Like it happens. So these guys always get thrown out there anyway. And I just don't care. I don't care about any of these quarterbacks. And I certainly don't care about quarterbacks if they're getting if their draft stock is rising when games are not being played. I care about what they did on the field. I don't give a fuck what happened at a combine or anything. Uh, so I do not care about this stuff. I do not care. um, I'm like the worst audience in the world for the draft. Like I can enjoy watching the draft, but it's you know just the endless mocks, and they get treated as news stories when here's the new mock draft. It's not a news story. The best mock draft in the history of mock drafts has been good for what, maybe 10 picks. These things are never right. They're certainly not going to be right for the Vikings, who pick at 23, I think, as of now. Um, but like I hate the constant barrage of mocks, and I hate how it warps the minds of fans because they absorb all these mocks, they read all this stuff, and they think that means something. So then when the draft comes and the Vikings don't take the player that they've decided from based on the mocks that we have to take, and then they get all mad, and sometimes they root for the failure of the pick we do make because they want to be right, and it's really irritating. And it's going to happen. I mean, so much of this fan base is just dead set on drafting a quarterback. They don't even care who it is. A lot of it's just they want Kirk gone, and whatever means gets Kirk out of here the fastest um, is good for them. It doesn't matter what quarterback. But if they don't take the quarterback, or they don't take the right quarterback according to these fans, oh, it's going to be just insufferable. And of course, fans already hate Kwesi because he didn't get rid of Kirk a year ago, and then he made a trade within the division, or two trades within the division. But you know, I'm interested to see what happens. I do believe there's probably going to be some wheeling and dealing to accumulate more picks. Um, Obviously, like, some of our picks have already gone to a good cause. We got T.J. Hawkinson with a couple of those picks, so that you know we've already had a good draft pick this year because T.J. Hawkinson was acquired with draft picks. Um, but I'm all for just drafted defense. Like, I maybe can draft a receiver. I really don't think you need anything on the line because you got pretty much a young line. We re-signed Bradbury, so we're rolling with him again. Maybe you get a center like in the mid rounds or something who can develop. But I'm just hitting defense, defense, defense because that's going to make the biggest improvement on this team next year is the defense. Um, so I'll be curious to see who they take. Obviously, like, we're not going to know who these guys are. Most people aren't, and there's no guarantees. There have been draft picks just in recent years where I was very high on the pick, and then it flopped, and I was wrong, and vice versa a little bit too. And things change. KJ Osborne was a wasted pick for a year. Now he's very much not a wasted pick. Um, but So yeah, I mean, I'll just be glad to have it all be over because then I don't have to see mock drafts anymore. And whatever we do, like if we draft a quarterback, obviously I hope it's the right one. I don't think this is a situation where it's like, boy, if you draft a quarterback and it's a flop, that's everyone's asses. I don't think they're in that degree of danger for their jobs or anything. I think they're still new enough that they're going to get they would get a mulligan if it's a bad pick. But you know, and again, maybe all these guys are going to be good. Maybe they're all going to be flops. The odds are most of them. The odds are the majority of them are not going to be good. Certainly not better than what we've already got. Um, but I guess there have been, again, reports. They come out there that there was maybe some talk between the Vikings and teams about Kirk Cousins, maybe during the combine, maybe talking to the 49ers about maybe getting Trey Lance in here, which I would not be opposed to if you could get him cheap, because everyone's obsessing over the whole rookie contract quarterbacks. Well, he's half his rookie contract is already gone, so you know you're not it's not a huge advantage to get him. But I mean, if like again, if Kevin O'Connell thinks he can turn any of these guys into a franchise type quarterback, okay, I trust him. I trust that he can do it. Um, but you know, I'm not reaching for a quarterback. I'm just not. If they like one of these guys and they're 23, or you can make a small trade up, I guess. Problem is, you make any kind of trade up in the first round, that's probably you're trading a first next year. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not. I don't look at this team like some people do. I mean, obviously, like the never-ending drumbeat last year that the Vikings were frauds, that they weren't actually any good. Like, I'm sorry, I don't buy that, and I don't buy that they have to just like blow it all up now and rebuild. They don't. They can win the division next year easily. They can be one of the best teams in the NFC with a better defense. We've got Brian Flores in here now to help with that. Made a couple of signings. If we make a couple of good draft picks on that side of the ball, plus we've got some of the injured guys from last year's draft class coming back. It's not all going to work out, but man, if we just had like a mid-pack defense to go with this offense, which I don't see falling off very much, I think this is one of the best teams in the NFC again. And I don't like the idea of just forfeiting all that to chase a quarterback who probably won't be any good. Most of these guys aren't any good. Um, and that's with the guys who are drafted at the top of the draft. We're not going to get the very top guys. We're going to get like we might get like the fourth or fifth quarterback off the board. Well, how often are those guys any good? It happens. They can be good. They can be an okay quarterback, but you know. And again, Kirk's on our books next year, unless there's more, you know, uh, restructuring and stuff. Like, he's on our books next year anyway. You're not even going to get the whole benefit of this wonderful rookie contract quarterback thing that everybody obsesses with now. Like, you're not even going to get that because you're still going to be paying Kirk. Um, but um, but if we take a quarterback, look, I hope he succeeds, and I will trust O'Connell's judgment that guy that he can turn that whichever guy that is into something. Um, but I would also feel like it's kind of a wasted pick for 2023 because I think 2023 can be a very good season, and you know, I don't know. I mean, the franchise has done it before when they drafted Culpepper. He's just sat for a year, and they had a pretty good season, made the playoffs, and then he was ready to roll the next year, and it ended in 41 donut, but it was a good season. So, um, so I guess the other big drama coming into the draft is we got a couple guys who could be released or traded. Um, I guess there's a lot of buzz out there about Dalvin Cook maybe getting let go or traded. I mean, at this point, I don't know how you trade him. I mean, if everyone kind of thinks you're going to cut him anyway, what are you going to do? Trade him for a seventh round pick? I mean, you could, but um, and Zadarius Smith being the other one. At this point, you know, cap space doesn't mean a whole lot. I mean, yeah, they do need some cap space still, you know, you know, for just like to sign a draft class, but you know, obviously, like when they re-signed Alexander Madison, that was a huge, you know, you know, flag announcement, red flag, whatever. That that they're probably not that interested in keeping Dalvin Cook because you're not gonna keep um, Madison and your other couple young guys, Wangwu and Ty Chandler, who I was really high on from the draft last year, and I was hoping he was going to get a shot. You're not going to keep all those guys and keep Dalvin Cook at his current salary, and maybe you won't. Maybe you can work out some sort of pay cut restructure thing, but I doubt it. And Zadarius Smith, obviously, sounds like he wants to leave, like he wants a better deal. I don't know. I don't know. He was really good the first, third or maybe the first half of last season, and then it was injuries again, kind of knocking him out. I think he kind of, you keep him on his current deal if you can. If you can't, then yeah, probably just let him go and seek opportunities elsewhere. But obviously, I'm sure they like to maybe trade those guys and get some extra picks, but I don't think it's going to happen. People thinking like you're going to trade Dalvin Cook for like a third round pick. No one's going to trade a third round pick now for Dalvin Cook. Not when they know you're probably desperate to cut him to save cap space or whatever. So, but let's just get through the draft. It's just it's so tedious. I just hate it, and I know there are people who love it. There are people who just this is their favorite part of football is draft mock season and speculation. I hate the speculation. I don't care. I just don't care. I only care about the players that get drafted by the Vikings. I don't care about anybody else. That's just me. This is me as a football fan born more lately. I don't care about anything else except for my team. I just don't care. I don't care to learn about, the 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 40 time of some wide receiver who's never going to suit up for the Vikings. I don't care. If you do care, more power to you. I would say go outside and get some sunshine. But you know, it's the worst, and I just hate the way it just all these mocks and all these so-called experts saying all this, just throwing shit against the wall day in day out for like 2 months, and it just warps people's minds, and you're gonna see it. You're gonna see it on Thursday, especially on Thursday because it's the first round. If the Vikings take a player and these fans don't like it, and they don't like it because of what they were told in mocks, it's gonna be vitriol, just wall to wall. And if they don't like this player, there's going to be a faction of fans who root for that guy to fail. And I know he did not end up to be a good pick, but Christian Ponder, when they drafted him years ago, there was a huge segment of this fan base that from the moment that pick was made, they were pleading, begging for Christian Ponder to fail. Now he did, but like, how can you be like that? How can you then be rooting for the failure of a player? Like you always root for the success of your team and your players, but that's an instance where they were not rooting for the guy, and it's going to happen again. It's going to keep happening because these mocks just inundated with this shit for months, and it warps people's minds, and it turns people against players before they're even with their team. It's really bizarre to me. But I will root for whoever we take and hope they're good. I will be upset if they take a quarterback in the first round because I don't feel like that needs to be. Hurry up and draft a quarterback this year. Yeah, you're gonna have to get a succession plan for Kirk Cousins eventually. He's not gonna be here forever. But man, just there's such an obvious need on this team for defense, particularly in the secondary, but up front too. Like, to ignore that to go chase a quarterback, I hate the idea of it. I hate the idea of it. And again, that was probably there wasn't things like this in '99 when we drafted Culpepper. coming off a season where we went 15-1 with Randall Cunningham, and everyone's like, "Oh, okay, Randall Cunningham's probably just going to be our guy for years." Well, then things change very fast, but you know, and that ended up being a good selection. Um, Even though he didn't sustain it for too long, that was still a good pick. And maybe we'll make a good pick. Maybe we'll get the next you know the next star quarterback, and I hope we do. Like I hope the next quarterback after Kirk Cousins is better than Kirk Cousins. I hope he's better than anybody. I hope he's better than Patrick Mahomes. It's not very likely, but obviously I want that. But I just don't feel like now's the time to really be chasing that, because you fix this defense up a little more. I'm sorry, you can go to the Super Bowl next year. I know everyone has just decided that the Detroit Lions are a dynasty and cannot be beat because they went 9-8 or something. And everyone's like, "Oh, the Vikings 11-0 in one-score games." Well, they're not going to be that again. Well, maybe if they're better, maybe if they have a better defense, they won't have to play all those one-score games. Maybe they will be better. Maybe they will be playing 17-point games, and they won't have to be in these do or die spots, week after week after week. Because guess what put them there? The fucking defense put them in those positions. In the fucking playoff game, the defense put them in that hole. Everyone's obsessed for 3 months now about the check down on fourth down. Well, guess what? They aren't in that position if the fucking defense does a thing in the entire fucking game. It's like, oh yeah, the schedule's tougher next year. Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. You're probably not gonna win 13 games, but you can certainly win like 10 or 11. And guess what? You can fucking go on a run if you have a defense, because you're gonna still have an offense. And people have just forgotten. Like they've just ignored what the reality was of the 2022 season. What catapulted them to 13 wins was the offense. What held them back was the defense. The defense. It was not the quarterback. Yeah, you can get a quarterback at some point. If you want to get him this year, fine. If you build up the defense, you can win. I'm sorry, you can get to a Super Bowl. You can still get to a Super Bowl now. The Eagles have lost a ton of players. Who knows what the 49ers are going to be doing at the quarterback position? Um, you know, Dallas, who knows? Tampa's going to be a mess. The whole NFC South's probably a mess. Seattle popped up. Who knows? Giants. It's so winnable. The division is so. Aaron Rodgers, he's out of town. He's out of here now, too. And you just, it's right there for the taking. Don't give it away. Chasing a quarterback. If we do, I hope the quarterback pans out. But I 2023 is not a fucking just punt season. I'm sorry. And I hope they don't feel like, and I know they don't. I know the whole competitive rebuild has been mocked and ridiculed endlessly, but it's true. Like, you can stay competitive as you rebuild the roster. They've already done it one year. There's no reason they can't keep doing it if they fix the defense a little bit and give Brian Flores, who's going to be so much better than Ed Donatel. I mean, that's already going to be the best acquisition of the offseason. One of the best in the NFL, maybe, getting him in here. Get him a cornerback. I'm sure he's going to have a lot of say in some of the defensive personnel. Get him a cornerback. Get him another pass rusher. Get him someone on the interior who would stop the run. Maybe get him a linebacker. I don't know if you'd take a linebacker in the first round, but something, whatever he wants. Honestly, I would let him have almost the say. Defense, draft defense. I know there's going to be some tradings. They're going to come out of this with more than 5 players. I'm sure of that. But just draft defense. Build this team up. There's always every year there's 5 or 6 quarterbacks who everybody's loving up. There's going to be 5 or 6 next year. There's always situations that come up, where a quarterback is available, like an Aaron Rodgers, and we're not getting Aaron Rodgers next year. That's the only thing I'm more sick of than mock drafts is Aaron Rodgers is going to go play one season for the Jets and then come to the Vikings. Boy, how many times I see that fucking joke the other day, as if it was the first time I've even seen it. It's like, my God, it's like, Everyone making the same joke. You're not clever. Stop. But something in that range. Like there's always quarterback. There's always situations that become available at quarterback. You don't need to just chase some rookie who probably won't be any good. I know everyone is just obsessed now with this rookie contract quarterback shit. There's many different ways to win. You don't have to have a rookie contract quarterback to win. Oh my god, it's gonna be an interesting one Thursday. I hope they trade out in the first round just to piss off the people who go to the draft party and sit and spend hours there waiting for a draft pick that never comes. Um, so I have no predictions. I don't know what they're gonna do. I hope they're gonna go defense, but and forego the quarterback goose chase. But I have no idea if that's what's gonna happen. I think it is pretty likely that Cook and or Zadarius Smith are gone. Maybe for picks, I would hope so. That I would obviously rather than get something in return if they could. And who knows? Maybe they'll make some other trade that we don't see coming. Something there've been draft day trades of other players at times in the past. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but it has happened before. So, and of course, we got a couple of gophers out in the draft too, like Mo Ibrahim. See where he ends up. I don't want any part of him. The workload he got with the Gophers, I don't think he's going to have too much left for the pros. But we don't need a running back. Don't take a quarterback. Don't bother with a running back. Um, defense, secondary, and up front, and we definitely could use a linebacker too. But you know, obviously there aren't enough picks to go around. But hopefully we make some good ones, and I'll be rooting for whoever Quasey drafts.